Yo, what's up? Good morning. My name is Patrouski, and today I want to talk about the PokeMMO servers. A lot of people have been experiencing a large amount of lag, a large amount of queue times, etc., etc. The servers seem to have been a little bit of a problem the last couple days, or at least during the event, during day one. Now, today I just want to sort of discuss if they are a problem or not, and I want to start things off by saying this is just my opinion. This is a very subjective video. However you feel, totally fine. Just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Now, continuing on, my first point is that I do want to say that I've never personally seen a queue last longer than 30 minutes. If you have, or if you have like an anecdotal example of your longest queue time, I would love to hear those in the comments to get an idea. The longest I've ever sat in a queue is around 30 minutes. You can also have donator status to skip queue, which is kind of nice. And then usually I'd say the average queue time is around 15 to 20 minutes. You see 4,000 players ahead of you in queue and you might get a little scared, but usually that's around 20 minutes or so from my personal experience. And then the next question you have to ask after that is, at what point do you think queues are too long? How do you actually put a number on it to say, hey, this is where it's hurting the player's experience to, too much to where something has to be done about it? If you don't know, the something that has to be done is usually putting more money into more servers or upgrading the quality or capacity of the servers. All right. I'd personally probably say that once you start pushing over the 1 hour mark, that's like, if someone's sitting for like a little over 1 hour, maybe like an hour and 15 minutes in a queue just to play, that's probably a big problematic sign, but that's also a very subjective number. That's just my opinion. Queues also usually don't last for the entire event, only for the initial hype. I don't know how bad queues have been, besides from what I've been hearing. I always hear from my chat, and I hear from a lot of comments. I don't know how bad queues have been personally, since I've been really lucky enough to have donor status to this event, so a little privileged in that regard. So hopefully, I logged in today and I didn't see if there was a queue or not, but you guys can let me know. But the other issue is, and this affects everybody, it's not just queues. Queues aren't that big of a deal in my opinion. Some people like really cry about them, but queues really aren't that bad. As someone who has sat in a lot of queues for the game, in-game server lag has been pretty bad recently. Especially, it's a really common issue on certain servers like Speedwagon, aka Slowwagon, and it's noticeably upped a ton in terms of lag during the event. For those who don't know, you can actually type /ping in game, /ping in chat, and it'll show you your MS, your latency, and what server you're connected to. So I can see that I'm actually connected to the server Cars, which is a really good one. But anytime I'm on Speedwagon, I was seeing ping as high as 800 MS, which is really, really, really crazy. And I try to log out and log back in to reconnect to a different server, but you don't actually have any physical choice over what server you want to be on. It's just RNG and hoping you don't log into Slowwagon. So that's always unfortunate. So moving on from that point, servers aren't exactly, from my limited understanding, I don't have any experience in the industry, but from what I hear from my friends and from what I hear from others, paying for servers is a difficult thing. Paying for servers for a temporary period of time is usually problematic. Overshooting can lead to brutal costs for the companies, and undershooting can lead to unhappy players, and it's a really tough middle ground to shoot for. Usually, from my understanding, when you're renting servers, you're doing it for like at least a month, if not like 3 to 6 or like longer leases. That's my understanding, unless like you're operating your literal own like server farm. My only personal experience with like servers is like obviously hosting small private servers on games, or I used to demanufacture computers and server boards in terms of hardware, but I don't know the like infinite details in terms of like what it really takes to run a server farm, obviously the cooling and stuff. But I'm sure there's others who are more experienced in my comments and in my community, so I don't want to talk out of my depth on that too much. But anyways, that's from my understanding. Moving on, something that like this was probably the most egregious issue with the servers in my opinion, to the point where like certain things were unusable or unplayable. Thankfully, I logged on this morning and it seems to be like fixed. But if anyone who played yesterday, if you refreshed the GTL like 3 times, you would get a rate limit exceeded error and you would no longer be able to use the GTL for like 5 minutes. It was insufferable. Not only refreshing, but like I had times where I was going to my listings, claiming something to resell it, and then going like I would crash. Like there it is. Yep, there it is. Like, I was trying to relist Pokemon from my listings. I'm glad I got it on camera. I was trying to relist Pokemon from my listings, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I took me like 25 minutes just to sell like 3 Pokemon. When it gets to that point to where you're like GTL, like your main in-game market is unusable, that's really brutal. Like, I don't know if this is like supposed to be like an anti-flipping. I don't know what's causing this. Like, I'm literally just going to my listing, going to like page 3 or 4, trying to claim something, and then go create and like also price check it before I sell it, and my GTL is like crashing. That seems way too easy to get and way too easy to like quote unquote overload the GTL. So yeah, the GTL overload / rate limit exceed problem seems really bad. I'm someone who like, yeah, I'm a pretty average player for the most part. I literally can't use the GTL. I can't use the market for a lot of time right now, which sucks. That's the main issue in my opinion by far. I don't know what is causing that. I assume it's people just constantly going to the GTL to like constantly sell their special candies and stuff. But if I were to, I'll even like just show you guys an example. Let's say I wanted to relist. I can't do this. I'm not at the PC. But if I wanted to like relist this, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna check this Nidoran. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna price check. And look, like a really good example. I went to my listings. I showed you guys. I already rate limit exceeded. I was just trying to price check the Pokemon. So yeah, I don't know. The rate limit exceed is absolutely brutal right now. But other than that. I do think my conclusion to this is, normally when people complain about server stuff, my instant guttural reaction is like, oh man, like, you know, they're probably overblowing it. It's probably, you know, not that big of a deal. They're probably just complaining. Like, especially when I see people complaining about having to wait in a queue at all. It's really disappointing when people find out they have to sit in a 10-minute line and wait their turn and start acting like animals in my comment sections because of it. It's really shocking how many comments I get of people being like, I can't believe I'm in a queue, like what the heck, I blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, people get really mad when they find out there's a queue at all, even if it's like 5 minutes, that's, you know, on them. Now, having said that, I do think this is actually probably the worst it's ever been. I think this is probably the worst I've ever seen the servers in 10 years or so. Especially consistently around the game in multiple different in-game areas is really where it's affecting. So like, ignoring the goofballs who are like screeching about being in queues at all, I really do think it's actually something worth keeping an eye on, due to the in-game experience being, you know, delayed and laggy and so latent right now. And I really think it comes down, whether there's any like action taken over this, I really think it's going to come down to how long queues last throughout the event, like how many days into the event are we still getting queues, and how long queues are during the upcoming anniversary event, and more importantly, probably most importantly, how full the servers are, and how is server performance in between the events. If even during the off periods of the events, like in between, there's hugely increased server numbers and increased server lag because of that, that's when you know, in my opinion, that it really might be time to upgrade some servers. Now, I mostly just wanted to explore this topic to gather my own thoughts on it, and also talk about it as a collective community. I would bet my life savings that the devs are already fully on top of this and know everything about this plus more. I can't imagine a developer that isn't keeping track of player population and server performance, but that's just my thoughts. Feel free to share your own thoughts politely in the comments, and that's all I ask. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Hopefully it was an interesting and informative video. Make sure to like the video if it was, dislike if not, subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos and tons of Halloween event coverage. You can subscribe to me on YouTube for daily videos. Follow me on Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at usually 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo do help out a ton. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. This is the coolest new vanity in the entire game.